Ideas for content. One of the most inspiring places for me to get ideas is in the car, driving, maybe picking up my son, waiting in the parking lot, or dropping my son off to kindergarten. But on the side, I do some Uber driving, and I must tell you, like a 30-minute trip, yeah, I get a lot of ideas just driving the roads and picking up passengers and dropping them off. It's a good way to get some ideas for content. I love road trips. So if you're in the car doing maybe just common everyday chores, just think about opening up your mind while you're driving or while you're waiting for someone, wherever you may be going, doing some chores. Like I said, pick up here or drop off there while you're in the car. Perfect time for you to think about some content and to turn your camera on your iPhone or whatever phone you're using and record, press record. It's one of the things that I enjoy doing. In fact, I was just driving around yesterday doing some Uber drives. I had a long ride with a passenger, like 45 to 50 minutes. And we were talking and gabbing about what he does. He's a truck driver, and what I do. I told him about my YouTube channel and how I get ideas. And I told him about like when I was going to be dropping him off 45 minutes away and coming back along the drive, I was going to be thinking about maybe recording a YouTube video. And I did. And I really get inspired by driving around and coming up with some ideas. And one of the things that always comes to me in my mind while I'm driving is nostalgia. I'm a very nostalgic guy, so the memories of the past, like in high school or in college or in my 20s or 30s, I'm I'm always turning them on, especially when I hear a song from back in the day, like when I was 16 or something like that, and it triggers a memory. So I was driving back from Akron to my hometown in Youngstown, Ohio, and a memory came up of when I was a freshman in high school, and it was the only time that I had to react to a physical bully episode. So went to a high school football game. Now I'm a freshman, so we go to the high school game. Everybody's walking around the stadium inside. That's what we would do. And I remember this one guy came up to me and grabbed my shirt, actually my jacket lapels like this. And said, "Give me some money." And I was dumbfounded. I was like, "Whoa!" The interesting thing was we were in the same grade, and this dude, I mean, I knew him. He was a husky fellow. I'm a skinny kid, but I had never been bullied like that before, and it came out of nowhere. I thought I didn't have any money to give him, and it really, man, that weighed on me. It made me mad. And I thought about it later on as I grew up. And the interesting thing is, I ran into him some years later, and he had no clue. Maybe he did, but we didn't even talk about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, Teddy, hey man, how you doing, man? Yeah, yeah, man. Wow, you grew. Wow, I don't remember you being this big." And it's so funny because in my head, when I see guys that I grew up with playing football and everything, and um, well, I grew up. So I got bigger as I aged. I played semi-pro football, and I took care of my body. So when I ran into him, he was kind of like, "Whoa, whoa, man, what's up? How you doing?" And it's interesting too, cause he said, "Wait, man, if you're ever in Columbus, man, here, take my number, man." He was all really friendly, 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 right? And I said to myself, I wonder if he ever if he remembers him bullying me when we were in the ninth grade. And the thing is, like when we were back in the ninth grade, he was kept back in eighth grade, so he was a year older than me. You dig? He was a year older and huskier. And I think the next time I run into him, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna say, "Yo, man, Dale, I don't know if you remember, but man, I'm gonna go over the episode with them because in my head now, when I go around in our hometown, in our small town, in the circles of maybe a neighborhood bar or a jazz in the park that we have every summer, I'm always running into old acquaintances and friends, people I grew up with, people I played Pop Warner football with or high school football with. And my mindset is totally different from when I was a kid. I was a happy go lucky kid. That's why it took me by surprise when he bullied me like that. But my mindset is different now. My confidence has always been raising and raising and raising as I was, going through life. And if I see him again, I'm going to definitely bring it up and say, "Man, I can't believe you did that," because the way it happened, it was like a surprise to me. It angered me. I was I don't know if I was really scared, but I was like, "Whoa," I wasn't. I was surprised. But the idea of that happening, man, I I deplore bullying in any way, shape, or form. Boys or girls, whether it's online or in person, in junior high and elementary and high school. I remember talking over with some friends, my best friend. Like that was the only time I was physically bullied. But there were guys that you, growing up, you were like a little bit shy of, a little afraid of, being around because they were a little tougher. We talked about that. And the interesting thing is, as a man that I am now, when I see those guys, I chuckle in my head because um, the way they probably turn out physically, maybe a pot belly there or something like that. And I'm like, man, I can't believe I was afraid of you back when we were kids. Yeah, but bullying, that story. It popped into my head. As I was making that drive back to my hometown after dropping off my Uber passenger, and I said, I gotta tell that story. I gotta tell that story. When I do see him, I'm gonna have a nice little chuckle and say, man, I can't believe you bullied me back in the ninth grade, man. What were you thinking, man? You was that type of dude, huh? Because the interesting thing is, now when I run across guys that I went to school with or grew up with, um, it's a big friendship, and all the bullies, all those type of guys, when I see them now, when my friends, when we all see each other now, it's like, wow, man, you couldn't do that right now. You couldn't do that. You couldn't do that when we were 20 something either. And now that we're over 50, man, yeah. But yeah, sometimes you got to put somebody in their place and remind them where they, how they were or something like that, I guess. But yeah. So that's one of the things that triggers my mind when I'm driving, thinking about something to talk about, because um, it just pops in my head. And I come from a radio background where I would play these classic soul songs on the radio, and in between the songs, I like to share, like when I was 16 years old, listening to this album and how it made me feel, or when I was a freshman in college listening to this album by the Bar-Kays, or how it made me feel and how I would go through the whole album and listen to it. That's how we did back in the day. I grew up in the 1970s, and I went to college and graduated in the 80s. And music was always something that was very powerful as a learning experience and an artistic experience of expression. So I love music. But yeah, when I'm on the radio and I'm talking in between the songs, I'm playing a song by the Eagles or Neil Diamond, man, it takes me back to listening to the radio when I was getting up to go to school in the mornings. We always had the radio on. My brother and then my sisters, we all listened to the radio growing up. So yeah, I tell those stories in between. I'll tell you more and more. I'm going to tell more and more stories on my channel as it goes along, because it makes me feel good just to tell the stories, about growing up and playing music and playing football and such. Well, that's the one story right there, though. The bullying episode. Mm. I think we're all better for it. I bet he seems to be a better guy now. He definitely does. I mean, very friendly and congenial, and it made me really look into working out and just my self esteem and making sure that I was always ready, always ready, just in case. All right. Hope this inspires you in some kind of way to going out there and tell a story for your channel if that's what you desire to do. And keep it bold, authentic, and stay with the momentum. Thank you. Hope you like and subscribe. Peace.